This isn't just the story of a company. It's really the story of a revolution, one that was started by one man who built a global empire from his tiny apartment. Let's dig into how he pulled it off.
Okay, so to really get Alibaba, you've got to understand the guy behind it, Jack Ma. And what's so wild is the contrast you see right here. This is a man who was rejected from middle school. Twice. College. Twice. He couldn't even get a job at KFC. He was famously the only person out of 24 applicants who got rejected. And yet, this same guy went on to launch the world's biggest IPO and take down the e-commerce giant eBay in his own backyard.
So that's the big question, right? How on earth did this happen? How did a guy who, on paper, seemed to fail at everything, turn around and build an empire that would literally change the face of global business?
Well, it all starts with a moment of discovery, a little spark that ignited a full-blown revolution. This is the story of the ultimate underdog's vision.
So picture this, it's 1995. Jack Ma is on his first trip to the US, and a friend shows him the internet. His very first search is for the word beer. He sees results from Germany, from the US, from all over, but nothing from China. He's puzzled, right? So he tries searching for China itself. The result? Absolutely nothing. Zero. Zelch. In that one moment, it hit him. His entire country was invisible to the new digital world. And that gap? Well, that wasn't a problem. It was the opportunity of a lifetime.
And that quote right there, that tells you everything you need to know about his mindset. He didn't wait around for someone else to fix it. He just decided, okay, I'll be the one to solve this. This simple, powerful idea became his entire mission. So he gets back to China and gathers 17 friends in his small apartment. Now think about this. He didn't have big venture capital money or powerful connections. All he had was an idea. But his friends believed in him enough to pull together $60,000 of their own money. That was it. That was the seed money for what would become Alibaba. But as Alibaba started to get some traction, a global giant was watching. And this set the stage for a real David versus Goliath showdown for the future of Chinese e-commerce. This was the war against eBay. Now, Jack Ma was smart. He knew he couldn't beat eBay by just copying them, no way. So he did the complete opposite. Just look at this table. Their strategies were worlds apart. eBay charged sellers a fee to list items. So what did Jack Ma do? He made his new site, Taobao, 100% free. This was a game changer because it brought in millions of small sellers who couldn't afford eBay. While eBay's site felt kind of corporate and sterile, Taobao was designed to feel like a busy, vibrant local Chinese market. But maybe most important of all, eBay was trying to run its China operations from the US, while Jack's team was on the ground in China, adapting to what people needed in real time. But here's the real genius move. The absolute masterstroke was solving the single biggest problem for online shopping in China back then: trust. Nobody trusted anybody. People were terrified they'd send money to a stranger and get nothing back. So Jack Ma invented Alipay. It's basically an escrow service. The buyer pays, but Alipay holds on to the money. The seller ships the product, and only when the buyer confirms they've got it does Alipay release the money. This simple system completely removed the fear and totally changed the game. And the results? Well, they were absolutely brutal for eBay. By 2006, Taobao had snatched up 80% of the market. eBay, the global titan, had to completely shut down its Chinese website. Alibaba had won, not because they had better technology, but because they had a much, much deeper understanding of their own people.
So, after conquering China, Jack Ma set his sights on the whole world. The underdog was now a global powerhouse, and the world was about to sit up and take notice. Big time.
What's so amazing is that Jack Ma didn't just build a website, he built an entire ecosystem. You've got platforms for businesses to sell to other businesses, people selling to people, big brands selling to consumers, and then you've got the payment system, a massive logistics network to ship everything, and the powerful cloud computing that makes it all run. It was like he built Amazon, PayPal, and Google Cloud and smashed them all together. And then came 2014. Alibaba goes public on the New York Stock Exchange. The result? A mind-blowing $25 billion IPO. At the time, it was the largest in human history. Bigger than Google, bigger than Facebook. The English teacher who couldn't get a job at KFC was now, literally, on top of the financial world. But even in that huge moment of triumph, listen to what Jack Ma focused on. He didn't talk about his wealth or his power. He brought it right back to the original mission: empowering the little guy. Okay, so just when they've reached the absolute pinnacle of success, the story takes this really dramatic, unexpected turn. Jack Ma's outspoken personality would lead him into a direct clash with the Chinese government, followed by a sudden and pretty shocking silence. So it's October 2020, and Jack Ma gives a speech that changes everything. He gets up and publicly slams China's state-run banks, calling them pawn shops, and basically saying their old-school rules were holding back the future of finance. He was challenging the very foundation of the system.
And the government's response? It was swift and it was stunning. Just 2 days before it was supposed to launch, the IPO of Ant Group, Alibaba's financial company, was canceled. And this wasn't just any IPO. It was set to be the biggest in world history at $34.5 billion. And just like that, poof, it was gone.
Right after the IPO was canceled, Jack Ma just vanished. He disappeared from public view for months. And then bam, in April 2021, the government hammered Alibaba with a record-shattering $2.8 billion antitrust fine. The message couldn't have been clearer. Nobody, not even Jack Ma, is bigger than the system. So after that storm, everything had to change, for both Jack Ma and for Alibaba. This wasn't the end of the story, not by a long shot, but it was definitely the start of a whole new chapter, a reimagining of the legacy with a brand new philosophy. So, how did they respond? Well, they had to adapt. To get more agile and, frankly, to appease regulators, the massive empire was broken up into 6 independent companies, which you can see here. Each unit, from e-commerce to cloud computing, now has its own CEO and the freedom to go chase its own funding and innovate on its own terms. And this wasn't just a corporate shuffle. It came with a huge shift in attitude. All that talk about world domination, that was out. The new mantra was all about being a helpful service, being more transparent, and getting back to their roots of supporting small businesses. And those roots are really grounded in these 3 core values that Jack Ma set up from day one. He always believed that if you take care of your customers first and your employees second, then the shareholders will naturally be rewarded in the end. And that philosophy is probably more critical than ever for Alibaba's future. So when you look back at this whole incredible story, what's the ultimate takeaway? I think it's best summed up by Jack Ma's most famous quote. The journey of Alibaba is just a powerful testament to perseverance. It's a story that proves that the most beautiful success often lies just beyond the point where most of us would give up. It really makes you ask yourself, right? Are we willing to endure through tomorrow night to see that beautiful day after?